call the meeting to order of the Merrill Enrichment Center, July 20th, 2023, starting at 2:15. And the first item are consent items. Approval of the June 23 meeting minutes, which I sent over along via email. Are there any comments or concerns, corrections on that?
I move approval.
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Okay, opposed? Okay, carried. Alrighty. And then the vouchers. Did we have approval of the vouchers? Who was able to look at those?
I looked at them.
Okay.
I move approval.
Okay, so,
Did you second it?
I second.
okay, and, all right. Did anybody else want to take a look at anything?
I would not mind taking a look at them before.
Okay, if you'd let, Mr. Bevel, could you pass them down? Take a peek at those. I do a highlight overview of spreadsheet and then
Right.
each of the things are below. Shall we wait for you to take a peek at them? We can wait a minute.
No, for the most part, it is what it is, so
Mhm.
I just like to see it
I just like to see it
before I
in the black
can
and
say
not
aye.
the red.
What's that?
I like to see it in the black and not
Yes,
the red.
yes, yes.
I was like,
There's days, there's times, there's
Yeah.
been a few
Well,
months
yeah.
that they've been a little bit red. The one thing you'll notice on there, out of the ordinary expenses, is I paid Gene Poggle, who is actually, he has birdhouses in our craft shop. Him and his wife also are always at the farmer's market. We asked him to make us a book exchange. It's right in our entryway right now. You might smell it. Right when he brought it in, Vicki and I carried it outside for a little bit because it had just been stained and it was still a little bit wet. But our book club had thought of that. So yeah, so we're very excited. And he, I think I asked him on Monday and he came, or I asked him last Friday. He stopped in Monday and then he delivered it already. So I was like, geez, you work fast. I'm gonna have to contract him more often. So, but yes, so we're very excited about that, and I'm sure our book club will be too. I did not want to make it too large because I didn't want it to be like a dumping ground, as more of an exchange for back and forth with books. So that was one of our little bit more expenses than normal. Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, all right, so all those in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, and now for public comment. Nobody's on the line. Does anybody want to share any public comment that they've heard at all? Any feedback? No? Okay, all right, then we'll carry on to operations. The endowment, I reached out to Matt at VIP and asked him for a cost to print our endowment. I also asked him for recommendation on the type of paper because I want it to have a rich feel to it. So this is the paper that he had somebody drop off today. And I just want you to see it and get your feedback on the paper itself and the look of everything. I can also give you each a copy of it to proofread and review and make sure that we have everything in there. If there's something missed or you don't think belongs, I know we've looked at it before I have him make more copies. And I think the one thing is what we could do right now. It's in two separate pieces because the form is on the inside. So I would like for them to send that in or bring it in for donation. And then they would keep the outside informational sheet. I could have it printed front and back and just fold it that way, but then they're sending the whole thing in along with the cover. So
Well, they wouldn't really need the information, would they, after they fill out the enrollment?
I don't know. There's some things on it that it would be nice for them. See, I'm always about keep something right in front of your face and then it keeps reminding people of you. So if it's right at home still and they have it laying around, and then I think our core values and everything are on the back.
Yeah,
They
maybe-
wouldn't necessarily need it and maybe they would end up pitching it, but just that face forward.
And maybe just in mentioning it to someone else, oh, I just donated this, and
Oh,
then you
yes.
could hand it to them, well, this
Yeah,
is
and then
what it's
they-
all about.
Right, right.
Will it, I'm so fussy about this stuff, but
That's okay.
will it be straight on the bottom?
Yes, that
and
was my
folded?
folding job
Oh,
today.
okay.
I failed. I failed. Stephanie has a little thing that we can actually line it up, so thought I would give it a shot. I did it twice and failed, so yeah, we'll use something more accurate.
Do we have an accountant who's technically our fiscal person who's specifically assigned to be responsible for the supervision of the monetary in and outcomes?
So that would be me. I believe that we talked about that because the donation would come here, but I of course deposit it with the city clerks to a specified account, which we have talked to Kathy and Erdl now, and it will be our memorial / endowment fund. So the endowment and memorial, kind of one and the same. I could separate it to two, or I could just take the memorial out and just put endowment. Because what I'm gonna do is the spreadsheet we talked about, and I'll have it itemized. One spreadsheet would be strictly for endowment, and the other would be if it was just miscellaneous, which we call memorial, but it's really just miscellaneous donations, not necessarily
The
memorial.
rich member is probably the one in town that's the most familiar with monitoring endowments and memorials and all kinds of things. It might be something that you,
Dee Olson I met with.
you did.
Yep, a couple months back, and she was key in guiding me through that. And she also, generously enough, offered any future help with that as we go ahead with hopefully receiving some donations and how to acknowledge it and how to report it and, all of those things.
Because at the library, we used to have a policy about every 3 months there was a report on
Oh,
what had happened with the funding, if anything,
if anything,
And-
or if there were any.
and if there were additional monies that were available for interest expenditures, and.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that
which
was,
we wouldn't have, yeah.
because for a lot of the new people who came on the library board, they never really experienced much
Sure,
of that. So Rich
sure.
used to do a good job of always bringing it up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of helpful.
Yeah, okay, good, thank you. I'll note that, like in every 3 months reporting out. That's a good idea.
How much would it be to print each unit?
It would be, I think it was 68 cents. The thing, you know what though, that might have just been, because he asked me if, front and back, and I said I wanted 2 sheets, so that on that paper could be double. I'll get that, I'll get that for sure.
That could make a huge difference
Right.
on
Mhm.
what you're gonna get.
Well, and I'm not gonna start out printing a ton of them. And I'm gonna
Right.
print maybe a couple hundred optimistically, but I don't wanna waste either. And then we have to figure out where we're gonna place them. Besides here, of course, who would be willing to have them placed somewhere for us? Maybe the chamber might be one, or hi Jay,
Library?
and library would, yep.
City Hall.
Yes, for sure.
Because the
yeah.
thought process could be too, if you do it just one sheet of paper and then someone gives it the donation, literally then after they give the donation, you give them something that basically says, thank you for donating, here's what you donated towards, and this is, kind of the other things that are already on this sheet, so then it is reminding them still. And, just basically something that says, thank you for donating to us.
Yes.
And some people do want a public recognition of a donation, but some people do not.
Right, and that's a good point. If they wish to remain anonymous, I don't think that that's on there. Yeah, that's a good point.
Seriously, some people kind of wonder, well, how come I've never been acknowledged or something?
Oh, they'll be acknowledged, and we have that
And
specified.
other people, when you
Would
acknowledge,
prefer-
they just shiver, they don't want anybody.
Yes, I didn't think about that, but you're right, there are some who would rather.
Jay, we're talking about the new,
Endowment fund that
Endowment,
we're
yeah.
starting, yes,
Something that we just noticed too, there are a few places where they need periods at the end of.
I'm sorry?
There's a few places on here proofreading wise that you need periods at the end of sentences.
Okay.
Like after a thank you for support at the end of it here, and then in the middle section here, it says our main hallway. And there should probably be a period after that just for grammars.
Okay, great, thank you.
picky one.
I have seen some without, I think just as more statement wise instead of grammatical. But I think it's whatever the committee feels is most appropriate.
I only
we
look
can
because we
decide.
have other periods within those paragraphs that it's
yeah.
already
Mhm.
there anyways, you already have periods, so you
Yeah.
might as well stay.
Consistent one way or the other.
Exactly.
Yep, okay, very good. So placement, anonymous donation, and then we'll decide on the one or two based on the final price that he quotes us with with that quality of paper and so on. Mhm. So if they mail it in to me, then I would, be mailing back of course, a letter that I've started to draft for thanking them.
I have a question.
Yes.
With that, would it be easier to do, it might be too small, but instead of the whole second page, could you do one of the leaflets, 1/3? And then have it like a perforated edge that they could send in, that way they're getting two sides of the pamphlet and still sending in, because that might be more cost effective.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it would be too small for everything that's written on there.
Well, let's do a quick, what's a 100, like, let's just do 100, say we had 100 of those printed at $1.50
Yeah.
a piece. I think we're good
Okay.
financially. If I was printing 1,000 of them, off the bat and such, I'd be maybe a little bit, but I can certainly, I'm really all about professional look, like making sure something really looks
Clean.
clean and professional, and but if we feel like we want to do a perforated tear like that, and they would still be able to keep some of that, I could look at redoing it. I'd need an example, I think.
I think having the sheet as big as it is probably better, considering the clientele that we're looking at too is mostly older, does not have the same eyesight that maybe I do. So I think having it bigger would be probably better,
That's true.
so
Didn't think of that. Yeah,
that's just a.
yeah, yep.
I know my grandparents appreciate it when I give them a full sheet of paper over something.
That they need a magnifying
Yeah.
glass for? Yes, that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, I'm gonna still consider that though. I think
And then
I can always
how do
look
you-
at different layouts.
How do you plan to market the endowment?
That's why I'm
program is
happy
it?
that Hallie is here. She knew that was coming. I will be putting it, of course, in our newsletters that we have just started an endowment fund for the future of the center. And of course, everything that we do, Vicki puts out on our social media posts, but now that we have Hallie to do that, I think we'll have even a better reach. And yes, and then placement, right? Placement of our endowment and visibility of that where it is. I would also like business owners and people who may come here, like Guys Group, to the word of mouth thing is a big deal. Like, oh, did you hear that, the Enrichment Center was able to start an endowment and support them and,
It wouldn't hurt to get like a link online
oh, right.
that they could print it off or even send the money in electronically. I don't know how that would work.
I wouldn't do it electronically right now
Okay.
because we're not, most of the city of Merrill isn't even doing it.
Okay,
So.
but if
The
they,
the Park and Rec they're the only ones who you
Okay.
can pay online for like summer programs, but we're trying to get there
Right.
too, but I hear what you're saying,
But
is
if
have
you-
a link right online.
then it could be on your city website too.
Yes,
So I think that would be very easy,
Yeah.
easily accessible.
And easy.
And likewise with the chamber.
Yep.
yeah. Mhm.
What do people ask you, Tammy, is this tax deductible? Doesn't say anything on there. And,
It's a-
and also to make the checks out to MEC, I'm thinking of the accountant that's looking at this, that's doing someone's taxes. Well,
Oh,
what's MEC?
Merrill Enrichment Center,
yeah.
yes,
Merrill Enrichment
right out,
Center.
okay.
But still the question is gonna become someday, can I deduct this on my income taxes?
Now, would that be on the cities, or
Well,
on
that'd be
them?
I don't know, that'd be the
Because
question.
we're a nonprofit tax exempt organization.
The city is.
The city is,
And we're not a separate entity,
right.
correct? We're just part of city government.
We're part of city government, right. So say I'm gonna donate, money to XYZ. As a donor, I'm asking if it's tax exempt?
Yeah, let's assume someone asked you a
Yes,
question.
yes,
Yeah.
I've heard,
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of brochures where it'll say, we're a 501c3 corporation, a tax exempt entity under the IRS code,
okay,
and therefore people know right away it's tax exempt.
Yeah,
I've also seen other ones say, talk to your tax advisor whether or not it's, can use it for tax purposes. I've
well,
seen it written
Kathy
both
could
ways.
tell you that, how to put that in there.
okay,
'Cause
okay,
I'm sure they've dealt with it. If not, again, an accountant like Rich Meamer or somebody, they deal with that every day.
To
okay.
get some, I think you need some
It
language one way or
does,
the other,
that's a great catch, yeah, I didn't, yep,
and not have the checks just made to MEC.
Yeah.
yes, and I have that, yep.
Yeah,
I
'cause
assume the city of Merrill is tax exempt.
We are.
If you made a donation to the city. Let's just say you made a donation for the park department.
Right,
I would assume you could deduct that.
I would assume, and I would say that you'd be able to put that on your tax.
Right.
Right.
So should the check be made out to City of Merrill / Merrill Enrichment Center?
actually, I think just Merrill Enrichment, Kathy said, because it is.
Because then it will
it's
for sure
department
make it to this
To
department.
my account, right, we don't want it going anywhere else.
Because like if it goes to the Parks Department, it goes to the Merrill.
Yeah,
Parks
everything
and
is pretty,
Recreation Department.
pretty itemized.
Yeah,
Well, we have the same thing about the trail, the Riverbend Trail, that everything should be made out to the Riverbend Trail, not to the park department or the city, because it gets lost in some process.
it's kind of the same thing with the school district. If you make a donation, say to, I'll just put out Merrill Community Media, the school district wants you to make that check out to Merrill Community Media, because then it knows which account it's going into.
That's all for their bookkeeping purposes. I was thinking from a tax
You're thinking
exempt
from it,
standpoint.
like
you
the
know.
donors,
The
right?
donor.
The donor
Right.
itself, right. Now, on that note, I know like when my husband and I donate up to a certain amount, our tax guy doesn't, it's not,
Usable or.
right, I don't
Right,
know the
yeah.
word, but if we go over that, then
Then
we
it's
could start
usable,
thinking
yeah.
about it, right,
Well,
so,
most people don't itemize their deductions anymore, so this isn't an issue for most people
right,
anymore.
right.
But this is still something to think
Still
about.
something,
Yeah,
people will
yeah.
ask that question.
They will, and how am I gonna answer? How do I answer when they ask?
Well, I think, like Gene
That
said,
we're-
maybe talk
that-
to Richard Mamer or someone to get the language that is, consult with your tax.
Yeah,
preparer.
Kathy might know, like you said, Jean, I can
Talk
talk
to,
to Kathy.
talk to your tax provider
Or whoever.
for tax exempt determination or something like that.
Okay, perfect.
One thing I've
Good
seen
catches.
too
Yes.
about, to encourage donations, and this is kind of wordy to put in something, but they tell people that if you make a donation to our group from your 401k or whatever, you can make that tax, it doesn't taxed. Like any other money you take out of your 401k or whatever is taxable, but if it's a donation, it's not taxed. So it's kind of weird to put that in something, but it's a selling point for some people.
Mhm.
Yeah, but everybody's situation is different, but
Right.
that's why they should talk to somebody.
Right.
So basically, when people ask me, I'm gonna say you should talk to your tax person.
Yeah, right. Talk to your tax.
Because I would hate to give incorrect information. I think that might be the best, but we can still have something said here along that whole line of legal portion of it. Yeah, very, very good. Okay. All right.
Tammy, I know you have a lot of information to include on that too, but I was just looking at the font of the brochure itself too. I don't know if
Tiny?
it's possible. Yeah,
It's tiny?
I just
Okay.
wondered if,
Yeah, I
I don't
can
know if
make
we
it
have the
bigger.
ability to
Yep.
make it bigger,
Mhm.
but
Increase
it'd
font.
be easier
Yes.
to read.
Yes, I can definitely do that. All right. Great feedback, thank you. That's what we need. And I'll come back with another one. I actually might go ahead and I'll tweak it and once I've done those changes, I will shoot an email to all of you prior to the next meeting even, so you can look at it again. So, we're not waiting until another month and then waiting again. And So I will try to get that out, maybe even by the end of next week, and tweak it up a little bit more and do another draft. Okay? All right. Any other discussion on that? Thank you. Very valuable. Okay, then moving on to the next is the August activities, offerings, and fair. I put a newsletter in front of everybody, and you can kind of see that because, of course, during fair, our schedule definitely changes a little bit in the middle of the month to accommodate, because the expo use is, dedicated to the fair. So we manage. We generally close the Thursday of the fair because we've tried a few times to stay open, and it's absolutely not beneficial for us. It's more of just a mess for us to have going from Barnes all the way through here to the back and so on. It's been best for us to just be closed.
Like people are tracking dirt through, or?
Cow pies, all kinds of stuff through, and there's a bunch of kids running around and in the shop, and it's just, we're here the first 3 days, and I know they start setting up even right away, but then Wednesday we'll still have some traffic. Was last year the tornado that we all had to?
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was a treat.
Yeah, just for the rest of the committee, I am on the fair board, so.
Yeah, great. That's good.
I'm very aware of how we function with Merrill Enrichment Center and the Expo Center to make everything work, and we'll start setting up that Saturday before.
Yep.
Because it takes a long time to set all that up.
Well, and it would be nice if there were more hands on deck, more volunteers, more people, but there's unfortunately not. So it's a
volunteer group. It's not It's not like a government entity or anything like that. It is truly a volunteer group.
Yeah. I know Stephanie's filled me in on a lot of it too. So we do our best to move most of our activities, all of our activities up this way. But then of course they're limited activities. You will notice too that there is no exercise classes on the schedule. However, we are very thankful for the county because if you go on page 10, you will note at the top of that they were kind enough when we reached out and asked for some help that we can run our August 21st and 23rd all yoga classes, even the early morning mat class, at their service center building. So they were generous enough to allow us to do that. I do not like to have people 2 weeks without moving around and staying well. So they were kind enough to let us do that, and Gigi took the week of the fair off completely, so no classes during that week of the 14th, but she is coming back there, and we're gonna go up there because we're gonna have to possibly bring some of our chairs up there. They do have some chairs that we can use for the chair classes, but I don't think they have like 50, which sometimes we get 40 to 50 people. So we'll be going back and forth helping set up there. So we're very thankful for the county for working with us on that. So yes, just limited, and that's normal. And I do believe next year though, I already received an email from Krista Mitchell, who's Tom's assistant, that somebody booked a wedding, I think the weekend right after the fair or something.
Yes, it should be right after the fair.
Yep, and so Krista wanted me to know right away so that we didn't, schedule anything for the Thursday, because they're going Thursday to Saturday, I think it is, or something. So that will, I was surprised. I'm like, oh, they said that would be okay, because they have a lot of work to do after cleanup and stuff, but we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, the fair board did talk about that one, because it was brought to our attention. It's kind of close, but we try to have everything out of the expo center very latest Tuesday, just because obviously everyone on the fair board has full-time jobs, so it's not feasible for us to
continue to try to, right.
Let's put it this way, I take, for the week of the fair, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, vacation from my job. There's not a whole lot more vacation left after you take 4 days.
Eat it up at the fair. That's all right, that's right. If something you're passionate about, then that's good. So yeah, so then we start back up on the 28th, and you'll notice we have a lot of, we have an identity theft, scam, and fraud presentation, which is great. You know, we have a couple, well, Yes, Even You, that is a new offering from us, and you'll see that we also are running our evening classes the last Thursday of the month hours. Those are going well, so we'll continue to do that. So yeah, a lot of different things going on in August. Any questions on anything on that? Our bus trips are going very well as always, so we'll keep upping those. And I think that is all I wanted to cover.
Have you heard Jeff Kirsten before talk?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
he does a really nice job.
Yes, he does. So I had been looking, if you recall, for months for somebody to come in and talk about it. So we were referred by Tom Berg, I think, and maybe Jenny, that, you know, he is a good person to reach out to. For those of you who might be on the library board or have read theirs, ironically enough, he's at the library also in August. And it's in our newsletter because they send us their, you know, for the community page. So he's there on August 29th at 1. So we already had a little bit of a confusion. And we're still a little confused that he would have scheduled both.
He just wants to come up and go fishing or
Right,
something. I
right.
don't know.
He might. And, but I told Lori, I said, here's the thing, neither of us are gonna cancel, because a lot of times people will say, I really would love to come to that, but I'm on the 10th, I'm busy and I can. So I said, we can make it work to our advantage, and if someone can't make your date, you can refer them our way and vice versa. So it's gonna be okay, but yeah. And he's been here before, apparently, at ADRC,
Yes.
is that correct?
Well, I think we had him during COVID, so it was like a virtual event. if I
Oh,
remember
okay,
correctly. But yes,
okay.
I've heard him before.
Okay, so yeah, so that's good. Better twice than not at all. So, okay, well then let's move on to the fall open house. The girls and I were kind of brainstorming the timeline, some of the things that we had already discussed about it. So I'm gonna kind of read to you some of the ideas that we just came up with this week. The time frame, we're wondering the 2 to 6 p.m., 2 to 6:30 p.m., you know, we're catching people who still might not, you know, they don't wanna come in the evenings or later after dinner. They might wanna come in the afternoon, and then people who are working, we wanna catch, you know, a couple hours of that after. So we're thinking either from 2 to 6 or 2 to 6:30. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Food, we went back and forth between having food trucks or not really sure, and we're like, wait, it's our open house. Vicky made a point, she said, I feel weird, like we're having an open house inviting you to come and see what we do, but then yet you have to pay for your food with a truck out there or whatever. So we decided to have something catered. So, you know how like Golden Harvest or whoever will make a wrap and cut it in threes, or just for like little kind of hors d'oeuvres, appetizer types of things. So we kind of decided that might be best, because then it's on us. And you're coming and you're taking a tour of the facility, checking in on some of the classes that, you know, we were thinking of demonstrations, like our wood carving group. I was going to talk to them to see if a few of them could be here just demonstrating wood carving. That's one of it's kind of well attended, popular. The painting, guitar and ukulele, we thought would be kind of fun to have a little group so somebody could see what they do. I was going to talk to our quilters to see if a few of them would be here demonstrating some of the quilting and showing some of the work there. And then just displays. So we have a lot of our artists, our teachers, you know, instructors, I should say, who we thought it would be fun if they were here kind of painting, but I don't know if somebody is going to want to sit down and take a painting class. We may not have time for that. but at least that they could see them painting, oil painting,
Right.
acrylics, different mediums, watercolors, Rita with her basket weaving that she does, just demonstrations that people could watch. But then we would also have just displays of like our leaf casting, all the different leaf castings that we do for that class, just so that they can get a feel for, here's some of the things. Then we were gonna also have a little tiny feedback form on what would you like to see offered? You know, what would bring you here to take a class? And then when, like when's the best time of day? So we can see what that, so those were kind of our ideas, and possibly a make and take class. If, you know, the quick board class with button art or something that they could sit down and do and then leave with, like we had at the Riverbend Trail that
Right.
time. That worked really well.
Exercise, anything with Gigi or?
Yeah, you know what, we did talk about that and I failed to write that down. We talked about maybe little chaired class demonstrations or Zumba. We were gonna see if Pam would do a little, you know, 5-minute little demo where you could.
Yeah, they could do it like every
Mhm.
15 minutes or something for 5
Yes,
minutes. They can't do
yes.
it the whole 3 hours, but.
Right, like 5-minute demos of exercise. And people could hop in or just observe if they wish, you know, to see. Yes, thank you. Forgot about that one. Okay.
Now,
Any other suggestions?
What's your market group? Well, if I would work at Lincolnwood, why would I want to come here for that?
The free food.
Well, you're talking about me, that's what I'm
That's why,
saying.
that's why we have food.
Yeah, but you gotta think, a lot of people my age, I'm 30 years old, you can put free food all you want over it and that doesn't always attract them. There's gotta be
Mhm.
something else
I
that
know.
also attracts
Mhm,
them.
mhm,
It's a certain group of people that will go for the free food.
mhm.
No,
Oh, that's
but
true.
Seriously, you know,
That's
the
true.
indubitable question always is for the general population is,
Mhm.
I'm a laborer, I'm a 50-year-old man,
Mhm.
and I have a family at home. Why would I want to get out of work and come over here?
Right, that's a great
do what?
question. That's a great question,
Gotta-
and I don't
gotta
know
have
if I.
something that would want to make me do that.
Right, right. And so is it the social connection, getting, because if you do, you have a family, do you want to socialize with, you know, like your guys group socialization? Do you want to come and, some people just come to play cards, but it's really to be with others and socialize, and that's their getaway or whatever. But that's a perfect question, because we should try to brainstorm the answer for that.
Well, you know, and I don't know the answer to it, but I do know, like, if you could at least have something that would attract my interest, you know, be it an antique car or, you know, a bunch of old engines or, I don't know, something a little different than what, you know, and I appreciate all the good things you do in here, I don't dispute that, but I'm talking about a normal man who is not.
Right, I totally get it. What I wanna do is I wanna pull them in, but I don't want them to think that that's what we do here.
I know.
Or could we? I mean, you know, what, I'm never closed to ideas of could we host a car show? First of all, I would love that. It's so, a car fanatic. But if that would be something that it's out of bounds for us that we never have thought of, that might be cool, and that might actually bring some people here, and maybe that's all they would come for. But it would be something that they would come for. So, back to how do we get them to our open house? That's the question.
Taking up on Gene, a man 50 years old working on Lincolnwood, why wouldn't he go home with his family at 4:30?
Right.
What if you had meet and greet some ex-packer?
Yeah, I'm
Donald
working on
drivers
that.
here.
They're expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have any budget for that, or?
Not for a lot of them.
Okay.
Unless they're feeling generous and they give us a
I
break.
guess the idea that you know, they'd become here,
Yes.
that's something of interest
Yes.
to that maybe group of people. They're not gonna come to paint a picture. if you worked at Lincoln,
Absolutely.
or whatever, if you're right in the middle of your
Yep, yep.
career and your family. But if there's something unique to Merrill that would bring them here,
Yes, and.
and maybe
do-
they bring their young
Their kids,
kids with,
absolutely.
so.
Is there do any of you have any connections or know of somebody you know has connections to any type of, I'm gonna say celebrity, somebody that we would draw in, guys, children, women, whatever? Cause I'm still working on the Packer thing, but I was a little shocked. Like, they don't make enough money, I'm sorry. It's like, and they could be generous, I could let them know what, who we are and what we do, and maybe they would be a little volunteer work.
I guess,
Focus on the kids and maybe do free face painting. Something along that line, that
Mhm.
maybe the parents would wanna bring the kids
Mhm.
down.
It's another angle, something for kids.
If you can get to the kids.
or even if you get to the mom that sits there and says, oh, the kids would have fun with that, then dad has to go anyway,
Right.
so,
The
for the
ma-
most part.
that magician
I guess
guy.
I have.
The magician guy,
Yeah, we
yeah,
had that
I-
magician
yeah.
guy one time.
Yeah, and actually he does come here to do, he has come here before and had magic shows.
Cause something that the kids and the moms would like I
Mhm.
know you have guys group and stuff, but this really goes towards women, in
Mhm.
my opinion.
Mhm.
Like I talked to you before, doing a wine and painting class.
Mhm.
That
Which we've
sounds-
done.
That
Yep.
sounds great.
Yeah, we've done wine and painting. yeah.
But doing something like that and showing the women that they can get their creative side out, because as moms,
Yeah,
I can't tell you the last time I got to be doing any of my hobbies.
right, right.
So showing them that if they don't have to set up everything at their house and they can just come here,
Mhm. Mhm.
that would be huge.
Mhm.
Along the lines of parent and child, maybe talking to the library, and, they offer activities like that draw in, or the children's, that children's group, what's this called, the Children's Service Center?
Northwoods Children's.
They always have activities at, I think at Normal Park, tie-dye and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Children's Service Center?
Like I really wanna keep everything that what you guys do here,
Right.
but if you can add just a little bit for kids or something, that might bring
To
in
draw
more
the
people
parents
too.
in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because then they can see what you're already doing here, and then maybe along the line, yeah. Is this something that you're planning on doing every year?
No.
Okay.
No, this is just a new reach for us, like exactly what you're talking about. Some moms what would be nice is if we would be able to have, say, the magician here or the face painting or whatever for kids, but the parents are here for a separate activity and the kids are broken out. I think Sharon, you've talked about that before in the past. It's like if we could have the kids occupied with an activity at the same time the mom or dad has an activity to participate in, that might be something that we could do also, because we have the space for it. We can completely separate the kids from the parents,
I wonder if we could coordinate something with Ace Hardware, because they have, I don't know if they do this in Merrill, not as much as in Wausau, but they have a guy, the dads and the kids make or it doesn't have to be a dad.
Yeah.
A parent and a child make a small project,
Mm-hmm.
a little wooden something or other. And that's very popular.
To keep most kids busy, all you need is some of those pipe cleaners
Yep.
and beads,
Mhm.
and have them make bracelets. That'll keep
That's
them
true.
busy for
Yeah.
hours.
Yes, yes.
That would be something simple and inexpensive.
Yeah. Okay, so I will, and if you happen to have a connection to, anything that we've discussed that you can send my way where I can reach out, that would be beneficial, because these are all great ideas. It's actually getting a person here, for a meet and greet, getting a person here to, help with some of these things.
What date are you planning for this?
It is the oh, what did we say, September, it's the last Wednesday in September. I don't have my phone with me.
21st.
The last what in
I think
September?
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Let me look at them.
27th.
Yeah, I think that's what it was that we were thinking.
The 27th.
Yeah, that would be the 27th then.
I think that that's the date we were thinking of. Because a Wednesday too, I know that kids are back in school, but there's not a lot of sports on Wednesday nights usually because there's
You know?
confirmation classes or CCD, and not that everybody's in
Yeah, but
those.
they not normally, no, normally it's Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays
Yeah,
are games.
for sports, and so Wednesdays is kind of nice because we've run a couple classes before too, where it's like they drop the kids off at whatever they're doing on their Wednesday night, and then they come here for an activity and then pick them up after. So we were thinking Wednesday from like 2 to 6 or 6:30, so that we can kind of toy with a little bit too, if you feel that that's a good timeline.
I think it's a good timeline, that's not a problem to me, I'm just curious. I think the only reason I asked if you planned on doing this again is because you're gonna learn what worked and what
Mhm.
didn't, obviously.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying we have to do it for 2024, but to
Mhm.
sit there and say, okay, we're never gonna do this again is kind of also.
Oh, yeah, I don't think.
I think
never.
doing it maybe every other year might be a good.
Yeah, but we don't wanna
solution.
make it an annual thing because then it's not
Yeah,
special.
no. I'm not
And
saying
so,
an annual,
yeah.
that's where I'm saying a biannual thing might also be like, okay, we know
Yeah.
what attract people for here and maybe
Mhm.
what some people are looking for.
Mhm.
Then
Mhm.
we can continue with that and get the, 50-year-old man that would like to come here after work or
Mhm.
on a day off or whatever and,
Right.
help be a part of men's group or
Whatever.
whatever
Yeah,
the case may
yeah.
be.
Were you
So-
gonna say something?
Oh, this might be really silly, but what came to mind initially when you started talking is I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Zorba Pastor. He's like a radio show, but he has a thing on NPR, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Like
NPR.
and he's like hilarious and talks a lot about like your health.
Yeah.
And does a lot. I just looked him up. I don't know what it costs to have him, but
What is
I know a
the
lot.
last name?
it's Zorba, Zorba, Pastor, Paster. I've heard, and this is only like I've heard. I don't know for sure, but I thought if you pay for him like his overnight stay, he'll do it for free.
Wow.
Okay.
That'd be
But I don't
cool.
know that for sure. Don't quote me on it. But I just thought that might be a nice tie-in with all the things that you have. Like if
Yes.
he could do something on like the exercise piece or
Yes,
the
yes.
socialization piece or
I really
like
like
a
that.
converse or some sort of a topic that would draw.
he's-
And I
people.
missed what you
Great.
said about him coming for possibly not a large fee. What did you say ahead
I
of
thought
that?
he said something like I thought I had heard from somebody that like if you pay for his like overnight and like a meal, like something like that
Then
for his
then
travel expenses and overnight that.
depending on what your organization does, maybe too,
Right.
like what we are, a community type of base.
But I don't know that for sure.
That's
Just,
okay.
uh,
It's worth checking into.
Might be
Okay.
something to dig into, but I just thought that might be a nice tie with some of the things that you have going on here, that you could tie it back to say,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. That I really like.
a benefit for your health or whatever.
Mhm.
I heard I haven't listened to him. I've heard that a lot of people really like him and he's super popular down in the Madison area. Like,
yeah.
people have him.
Okay.
I've heard he's pretty
I
funny.
listen here and there, I
Do you?
don't sit and listen to the whole show. but
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the car, it's on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a great suggestion. Perfect. Okay. Well, we have not a lot of months, but a little bit of time to work on this. And if we feel like, that's just a tentative date. If we feel like it's gonna take us a little longer, like say he would do this, but his schedule isn't conducive for, we could possibly bump it into October as well. It's just a goal, like, it'd be nice to have it in the fall before winter comes. I hate that word.
Or if he's,
But you know it's coming,
But
but
we're
yeah.
doing a fall craft show then still, or? no?
Yeah,
Or
beginning,
yes?
at the beginning of October.
Beginning of October.
Mhm. Yeah, so yeah, so it's a nice, kind of a time, everyone's getting back into routine in September and kind of done with all of their major summer travel, kids are back in school, but it's not set in stone. We can certainly, if it takes us a little longer to organize this and get it really done well, then we can bump it to whatever we think might work.
Right.
So, great ideas. That's
Can we try to
fantastic.
make sure that everybody has something when they come here, that they leave with something in their hands to take home? Because that's important when you,
The next month's newsletter.
The endowment.
The endowment.
Well,
Or the
How
next-
much did you really like it here?
that's one thing, but I
You should maybe
think
warm
Gene,
them up
Right,
first.
right, I should warm them up.
I think Gene's onto something too,
Oh,
cause
yeah.
like, when I go to a conference, you know, they
Oh,
send
yeah,
me
they
with,
send your goodies.
you know, with a goodie bag, and it doesn't have to be a lot, it's just
Yeah.
something to make
Something
them
with
feel like,
MSC
oh,
on
hey,
it.
I got, you know, a little bit out of this that is actually
Yeah.
gonna be useful, so.
well, and sometimes your local businesses or your
Yep.
chambers or people will provide you with the kinds of, it's not always really material how valuable it might be. It's something they can take home, and if for a day or 2 or 3 afterwards, it's on your kitchen table to remind you that you were
That you were
there,
there.
instead of just that one day goes out of your mind
Yeah.
by the time you get up the next morning. It's important for marketing for a longer period of time.
You know, and possibly like even if like doctors or a pastor isn't available, like could someone locally maybe talk about some health? I mean, just have someone that's more like recognized in the community, like Dr. Thompson. I've heard really good things about. I don't know,
Dr.
just kind
Lee
of.
and,
Yeah.
yeah, there's
I mean,
a
if
few
you could
that,
get somebody that would be willing to, like people are interested in hearing, and I feel like health is always one of those.
oh,
things, like,
yeah, absolutely. Yep, that's true. Okay.
maybe.
Yeah, no, I think they're all great suggestions, very good suggestions, so.
Just follow up what Gene said, they leave with something. The 50-year-old person, be it a female or a male, they leave and they're gonna say, well, I'm not retired yet, I'm not here, I work past 4:30 now. We almost have to say, we're gonna have some evening things for them. I mean, we have to be something somewhat specific,
Yes,
that we have things coming up for you.
yes,
Otherwise, well, that's nice,
right,
I'll come back, I'll come in 15 years when I retire at age
Right.
65.
right,
Why would I come back, other than awareness for maybe their parents or elderly,
Sure,
retired
sure.
people that they're having contact with. But again, what do they take back with them to, put on the kitchen table or on the counter to look at for themselves?
And that's something to look at. We've got 2 months, you know, if
Can't-
we want it on that 27th. So, something to look at for the next
You know,
2 months and kind of come up with ideas.
I mean, almost, if we could say, well, in October, this is an evening event we're having this evening event in November, maybe not December, but, and then we're gonna continue to have evening events for the community. Or is our target group retired people? The
Well-
8 to 4:30?
Truly, it's 50 and up is our main group that comes in here during our daytime hours. But our evening hours, it's a mix. There's a little bit, more. And we have dedicated, so people are creatures of habit. So we've dedicated that, I think it's the 4th Thursday of each month as our evening class. We've tried to run evening classes a couple times, and it doesn't really pay for even one of us to be here. We may not end up getting any registration, so we figured if it's consistent all the time, it's always this Thursday, people can plan accordingly. But we could plan out events all the way through the end of the year, that for the next however many months, this is what's happening on these Thursday evenings for those of you who work during the day. So that we would have that marketing already available and set.
Well, just going away from it that evening, knowing the last Thursday of every month, that evening, there may be something here for
There's-
me
yes,
as
yes.
a non-retired person.
Yes, yes.
That just with that knowledge.
Well, that knowledge, and then taking it a step further during the open house, if they would take a minute to write down what would you like to see offered on that Thursday evening? What would bring you in the door? And that's,
Well,
yeah.
and maybe, for Jay's benefit too, there was a time when we were called the senior center.
Right, I know.
We
We
chose
eliminated
not
that.
to do
Chose not
that
to do
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why the mission statement applies to bringing generations together,
Mhm.
so that we were technically trying to expand on the
Cause eventually I'd like to see, you know, my age group coming in here
Yeah.
now, not
Yes,
40 years down the road.
yep. That would be nice. Did you say 40?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm only 30.
he's pretty
Oh.
young.
Yeah.
I was gonna
What
say,
is-
there's 50-year-olds here. I'm like, what are you, 10?
What is that number? I don't, was I 30 once?
Probably quite a while ago, Gene, yeah.
For a little while.
Yeah,
I don't think we remember that, do we?
but that's kind of what I mean is.
Yes, what can we,
What,
how
what can we do? Because you gotta think, at 50 years old, for my generation, we're gonna sit there and be like, oh, I still have 20 years left of work.
Mhm.
Because of how everything is in our
Right.
society now compared
Right.
to what it was, say, even 20 years ago.
Mhm. And if there's,
In all seriousness, I do remember being 30 because I was poor.
And then,
but
think that-
I believe in growing the brand, like, any brand. So like, I'm gonna use Harley for an example, we were just at the 120th, so a lot of what my husband and I do, and especially my husband, cause he works there, is he's looking at the new riders, the 16-year-olds, the 17-year-olds, what are their interests, what do they, because you grow them with the brand, they start out on something maybe a little more manageable, or the new electric bike. But then they're gonna graduate as they age, and they're gonna graduate, and eventually some will never go on a trike, but some will, because that's the only way they can ride. So in my mind here, I've always talked about growing our brand, and if we can get the 30-somethings in here, and we can expand a couple evening offerings, if there's demand, we will supply that, if there's enough demand. And then eventually, when they retire, they'll do the day things too, and possibly some of the night things, but that's ultimately the goal.
And I think the open house will definitely help, and that's why I'm suggesting,
Yes, yes.
not every year, but every other year to
Yep.
say, hey, these are the things we offer, this is what you can help learn, because the creative side is out there.
Yeah,
I see it in the girlfriends and my wife even,
yeah,
you know, that they love doing their creative things, but they don't have the outlet to do it all the time.
sure,
So if that can get provided to
Yeah.
them in an evening,
yep,
but they need to know it's here. That's the problem right now.
exactly, the awareness of it.
You know, Tammy,
exactly.
do you know a guy by the name of Furman out by my farm out there who's got all those antique motorcycles?
I'm
in
sure
his
my
barn?
husband does, I'm not sure that I do.
You know,
Yeah.
that might be something, I'd consider
Ah.
something with, you know, there's a lot of people around here who are really into antique motorcycles and cars. And
Yeah.
I know, when I saw his barn full of motorcycles, I was quite impressed.
wow.
And I'm not impressed by motorcycles much at my
Yeah,
age, but.
yeah, but his collection,
But I'm just saying something, I'm trying to think of something that would make somebody
Yeah.
like you, you know, maybe that might be something I'd like to go take a look at.
yeah. What was his name, Gene? Last name?
Furman, Fuhrman. He's over on Lakeview Road out there by Beacon Bar,
Oh, okay.
Fairview?
Fairview.
Fairview Road.
I'm new to town here, you know.
I know you. You're not a native, Gene. Never will be.
Oh my gosh. Okay, great conversations today, great discussions. It gives me a lot to go on, and I'll collect everything and then send it out to you, and we'll keep working on that. And like I said, if we have to bump that date, then we bump the date. We'll just see what we can get. Speakers would be great too. Okay, very good. Anything else? If you think of something, just shoot me an email. The whole month in between meetings for me has always been a challenge, because I want to keep the communication, consistent, instead of waiting a month, and especially if it's an action item. To wait a month, then you're pushing it off another month. So definitely just call or email me if you think of something. Okay, next then would be the ADRC. Jennifer.
I don't know lots. not, other than, I know I had mentioned at our last meeting that we have that Falls Prevention Resource Fair coming up.
Yes.
So we just pulled together flyers. I did not bring one with me, and
You can email it over and I
Yeah.
can print it.
so I was thinking if I don't know if you mind posting that into your MEC newsletter too at some point. But
Not at all.
we're just gonna start kind of promoting that a little bit more heavily. I wanted to ask you about Gigi though, because I know you had mentioned that she might be interested in possibly coming. I didn't know how to
think
get a hold of her.
Sharon had mentioned it in the discussion about the falls prevention, and maybe Gigi would be a good person to do that.
Yeah, I was thinking if she can like demonstrate maybe some of the things that you have going on here,
Yes,
because I'm
yes.
sure we'll do a lot of promotion in the Merrill area since
Okay.
it's at NTC.
I will give her your number.
Okay,
To reach out.
that would be great,
Okay.
yeah, and then I can touch base with her. So for those of you that, I don't know if you were all here for the last meeting, but we're running a, falls is such a big issue in all of our county, well, throughout the state of Wisconsin. Falls is number one, in death-related falls, is number one for across the nation, where Wisconsin unfortunately is number one.
Mhm.
Anyway, so we're doing a September 20th falls prevention event at NTC. It'll just be from 1 to 4. It's going to be free. It's an opportunity for people to walk in. They'll do a screening, a falls screening. And then we'll have some medical students based on that screening and some of the outcomes. We'll take them. The medical students will take them around to different stations, and they'll have an opportunity to work on like strength and balance exercises for falls, visit with an optometrist, trying to think of who else is there. We'll have lots of people, therapy dogs, we're gonna have something on footwear. I mean, there's just tons of different things, OTs, occupational therapists, fire departments will all be there too, so just lots of
Sounds like a
information
very
for
good
people.
event.
So we'll be getting some information on that and hopefully promoting that a little bit.
Jennifer, you've got a lot of literature over at your place about all these different topics. Wouldn't that be something to bring over and distribute to
Did
people
the
here?
open house?
With it?
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah, even at the open house, but
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of stuff that you have
offered.
is relevant to everybody that comes here.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some of the dementia stuff and
Mhm.
something to think about.
Really?
Could have like a little rack for brochures or something, or
Yeah.
a little library.
Yeah, well, we do promote, in our newsletters and stuff too, the ADRC, we're very good community partners and work together on a lot of things, so that's,
Yeah.
right, but to Jean's point, even having it here readily available for anyone just to grab a brochure or something, that might help
Mhm.
drive more people
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah, something to think about.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I will send that flyer out if you want to get it out to everybody.
Okay.
And then yeah, I would love to incorporate Gigi if possible.
Yes, I will have her reach out to you.
That would be good, just because if we do, it's kind of a draw for Merrill people too to come in and
Yes.
see what's available,
Yes,
benefiting the MEC a little bit too.
that'd
So
be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
that's all I have.
Okay,
We're doing a lot.
very good. Thank you, that's okay. All right, any other discussion that,
The only other discussion I have is about the next meeting.
okay,
With that being a day within the fair, I would not be able to attend that meeting.
okay, that's okay.
It's not a deal breaker, obviously, for you guys to have a meeting,
Uh-huh,
but I wouldn't mind being there if we did it the week after or the week before. I'm not opposed to it, but that would be up to the rest of everyone else here.
I'm not sure I can be at that meeting either.
on the 16th?
Well, yeah,
Okay,
I just have, I have to be down south. I won't be here in Waterford.
okay,
I
so,
might be able to call in either day, but
oh, like a call-in, but not
Yeah.
physically? Okay. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter to me if anybody is, would the next Wednesday work okay, the 23rd? Instead of the 16th, or is that still cleanup and you're,
I know, I mean, it would fall within my work schedule anyway, so I would end up, so I would end up being here anyways for that camera.
oh, okay.
So I'm saying,
okay.
yeah,
Oh.
any other time that isn't the week of the fair
Okay,
would be beneficial for me to be here, but that is
Okay.
also, like I said, up to the rest of I'm one person, I'm not.
Right, and we are meeting, I already reserved the city hall chamber because with here, we've got things going on here when
Right.
the fair is there. But I mean, we certainly could change it.
Yeah.
If everybody is, comfortable with that, I could bump it 1 week further.
I have to work in Medford all day, the 23rd.
You do? Okay. All right. Well, you know what?
Whatever.
Let's just keep it right now,
Okay.
and what I can do is I'll pick a couple other dates, and I'll email the committee and say, how does this look? And then we'll just go with the majority schedule, and then, go from there. Okay, I will write that down to pick a few other dates, and then we'll. And email.
we adjourn?
Okay.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay,
I second it.
okay.